office building with our brother Ashanti, Fitness Fire Fuel, and we are at the Harlem Firearm Safety Forum.
Well, no, you can set it up. You can set it up like the only thing is that you'll probably have to set it up for the table, which means you'll have to go wide, right. Also, you probably need to make sure that whoever speaking is speaking from there as opposed to speaking from there. Yeah, we don't want to be. Yeah, because just because of him, I heard, I know. Yeah, you need it wide. No, you want it out. Brother out. Yeah,
I'm staying in my lane. That's not it. Greetings, family. How you doing? How y'all doing? Welcome. That's what I'm talking about. Coming.
You need to want a mic.
Yeah, just turn it. Yeah, turn it and pull it up. Can y'all hear me? I'm talking to the people in the cheap seats. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? So I can enunciate, right, Earl? In poetry, right? We have to enunciate so that we can hear that can hear us in the back.
Yeah, you need to, find
Yeah, we'll
I'm just talking about, so
Peace and Black Power families. Harlem educator, author, and activist, the Black Liberation Coach, Brother I.J. Tamba. We're filming live on location in the wonderful historical and political village of Harlem, New York. We are here live in the Harlem State Office Building, named, of course, after the most prolific politician amongst our people in the world, Adam Clayton Powell Jr. And today, we are joining Brother Ashanti first and the Fitness, Fire, and Fuel organization he created for a Harlem Firearm Safety Forum. Bear with us as he does last minute setups and we begin at 6.
Yeah, pretty cool right there. brother. This is my, so I'm ready for my close-up, man. Now that's a bar. You gotta be ready. This is a beautiful thing. Our people are ready. One more time when we close it in on. I'm just waiting for one more attorney, Robert Schechter. But we won't wait too much longer.
We got two tables. Yeah, we got two tables. Yeah, we got two tables. And one of the tables is
We gonna be all right.
pretty low.
Oh, there he is. Hey, brother Rob. What's happening? Good. Right. Get it started? What you think? Get it started, get it cracking? All right, we're gonna wait for the people to come in the room. We ain't gonna wait for them. We're gonna get it right and rolling. Because you know they say how we always start late. So here we go get this thing cracking, okay?
Let me make sure everybody's in frame. Yeah,
In frame. And then we'll use the microphone too a little bit. Hopefully it'll pick up what you think. Okay? All right, everybody, welcome to the Fitness Fueled Fire Firearm Safety Forum. All right, we're going to get it started because you know we have a bad habit of starting late. So we'll start on time for once, and then anybody else that comes in, they'll join us, and then they'll just have to, we'll fill them in as a family. How about that? All right, so I would like to say thank you for coming out, and I guess I'm going to have to say it again as people start to come. But thank you for coming out because it's a poignant moment in New York City history for us as a people, all right? We already know that they turned over the law and everything like that. However, you need to be abreast of what not to do, all right? Because it's still a trap to a degree, all right? So we don't want you guys going out in the community assuming that there's going to be, you can just go and carry your firearm. Not possible. Not possible. So what we're going to do is we're going to allow everybody to introduce themselves. We're going to start on the flying with Sister Julia, then we'll do Sister Gabriella, then we'll Brother Robert, and then I'll come back to me. All right? So we're going to pass the mic, and they're going to tell you about themselves, and then we're going to keep it moving. All right?
Hello everyone, my name is Julia Jenkins. I am an attorney with the Legal Aid Society. I'm a public defender, and I'm also one of the representatives of the Black Attorneys of Legal Aid Caucus. My caucus is one of the groups that submitted a everyone, my name is Gabrielle Williams, and I'm here representing New Jersey Firearm Academy, New Jersey City Chief Instructor Latif Dickerson. I'm being trained in bullseye competition shooting and being trained in tactical building.
Hello, everybody. My name is Robert Schechter. I'm an attorney. I work for a law firm, Harlem and Associates. Our office is based out of White Plains. We handle every type of matters from criminal through civil. Over the last about 6 years, we've done a lot of work in regards to licensing. And even though we're a small firm of only 4 people, we began to see some noticeable trends. People were getting denied, the language was being used in those denials. We then pulled the statistics, we sued, we went to court, we argued, and for many years we hit a wall, and then eventually we finally see what came down in the Bruin decision, that the proper cause standard was deemed unconstitutional. And that's what we've been saying for a while, and it was disproportionately affecting African American community, and has a whole host of other complicated issues. So I've been litigating this for the last 7 years, and we're here to help, and we can go into more detail later.
Excuse me, hold it for a second. Not for me. Since that's what I was going to do here, I'm going to come to the middle for as high as I can and angle down and see if I can get everybody in. Welcome, welcome. Come on in. Just angle a little bit. That's it. Don't worry about it too much, man. Let's get crack-a-lack. There you go. Perfect. Perfect. We good. I got her. I got you. Excellent. All right. Sorry about that.
It's okay. Good to go. Quincy Asante from Camden, Delaware. 3 hours away, so apologies for being late. I'm not used to the New York traffic. I live in the country, so yeah, I saw the traffic. It was crazy. So my wife and daughter are parking the car now. You know, competitive shooting. I travel all over the country to compete. You know, I tell the story of, you know, I'm also a fire instructor, information security, so I used to do digital forensics, now do compliance for a cloud hosting provider. I got into competition shooting. I got into shooting in general, because I was at a Chick-fil-A one time and I was eating, and this white guy came by and he ice grilled me. He looked at me and he pulled up and he showed me his gun. I wasn't into it. You know, I was a big guy, and this was the run up to the Trump election. You know, that first time, and he wanted to show me his gun. So for me, I was just like, yeah, I know he didn't just do that, but he did it, right? So, you know, you know, I grew up, you know, I can handle everything, you know, physically, right? So, you know, I just felt like I could. But for this time, I felt the first time that I felt vulnerable. Like the world was changing. Not to say that racism wasn't prevalent, but it wasn't over racism. You weren't seeing, you know, them call us niggers, right? They weren't in Delaware. There's a Trump sign in every fucking house, two-star. There's a Trump sign everywhere you go. So, you know, you know, it's right at the Mason-Dixon line. It's a very racist state, especially where I live. And so I knew that there was a change, and he sat down, and then he got back up. And the other thing is I had my I can't breathe sweater on, so that was the trigger for him, right? So he saw that, okay, he's one of those guys, right? So I wasn't in the guns, I didn't go for the guns. Then he did it again. He came by again, and he wanted to show me his little pistol. And for me, I was just like, yo, this is. I remember the manager at the Chick-fil-A. She was just like, I was just like, yo, he can just do that? Because everybody saw it. And they're like, yeah, it's an open carry state. And I was like, what the fuck is that? What does that mean? Right? I wasn't into guns. You don't understand. Like, I wasn't, you know, I just wasn't into it. I didn't know the laws. It wasn't something that I was taking on. And but that changed my life because, you know, that next day, I went and said, okay, all right. I went, we bought his and her pistol, right? So I bought this Smith & Wesson and a PX PS4 Storm to a 40 cal, a runner PS4 Storm. And what I also saw was that I didn't want to just be like everyone else. And this is what I'm going to push you guys to understand. Purchasing a firearm has nothing, there's no benefit just to buy a gun and not actually use it, right? Not to be trained in it. It'll actually be a negative to you if you just buy one of those firearms. If you're buying a firearm, you're not immediately buying a holster with it. You're on the negative. So if I say right now, go grab your firearm, and the first thing you gotta go do is unlock, you're not serious about using it. I know that. If you're not dry firing at least once or twice a day to get your weapons manipulation down, where you're working on your draw, you're working on your reloads, you're working on indexing, sight picture, you're not serious. And so I implore everybody, I'm not gonna get too much into it, I want everybody to do what they gotta do, but that we take it to our next level. For me, my thing was, I don't wanna just do it like everyone else. I wanna fucking master it. I want to be able to then take that, and I want to be able to teach black people. I focus on black people, right? That's my focus. I want them to be able to take that and teach their children. This is going to be a generational thing that we're going to take in, not just for ourselves, but we need to pass this shit to our families. Not just buying these guns, training with them to be just as deadly, if not deadly. We make up 13% of the population. We should have we are men and women, we're obligated to make sure that if we can take out a ratio of 5 to 1. That was my obligation, that I want to be that deadly. And we have to think that way, because it's not like, no, I'm not saying, we need to go to war with white people, but we have an obligation to protect ourselves. We have an obligation to take it serious, right? So, that's the beginning for me. I'm also the national trainer for the Black Panther Party. So that's another thing that, just to go around and to teach us not to just do these marches, but to actually, be able to defend yourself in our community.
I would like to pose, we're gonna pose questions to each individual first, then we're gonna chop the time so that we'll be discussing with your boards, we'll be talking about certificates of disabilities, since we already have a charge, we'll be discussing that. We want to just get insight on something that you hear on the panel, we give you insight on who you deal with here. So I want to pose a question to Sister Jenkins first, and it was about what motivated you to join in the finals on the amicus brief that the recent Supreme Court just overturned.
So the brief was actually written by some public defenders at the Bronx Defender Service. They contacted Black Defenders Service and asked for us to join. So I, along with my co-reps, read the brief and we liked the arguments. Essentially, there is a Second Amendment right as of 2008 for us to feel about and I believe that if you have a constitutional right, then it should apply to all Americans, regardless of their race. What we see happening in New York City is that, or in New York State, is that people are aggressively prosecuted for the mere possession of a firearm. Not only in cases where they possess a firearm outside their home, and not only in cases where they possess the firearm under circumstances in the sense to use the firearm unlawfully. We're talking about just a firearm by itself. And it doesn't matter if you have a criminal record or if you're a law-abiding citizen. You can have a law-abiding citizen and be arrested and charged with a Class 2 violent felony. That carries a minimum of 3 years mandatory prison sentence. And it's actually ranging from 15 years to 50. And the consequences begin at arrest, right? So the ADA is the district attorney's likely going to request that the judge might check that happen, which means that the car. It's very likely to be finding the case from inside of New York City Physical Medical Case by Asylum, where 23 people have died. And that is, that should be introduced to mental and emotional harm. Child incarceration also causes the loss of family, loss of employment, loss of housing, restraints that imply constraints moving. So this is really why this is all before even using that practice for the crime of this crime. Like I said, it's a practice of starting to minimum thinking in the best cases, you have no criminal record, no prior. You have employment, high security, you have family. So standard operating procedure is 2 years of prison time, 2 years of post-release supervision. We're talking about 4 years of essentially the word of jail. And then, of course, most people are going to receive prison time. And even if you don't receive prison time, you are going to walk away a violent felon, and that's a lifetime limit. And that carries with it its own set of collateral consequences, including discrimination in housing, discrimination in employment, discrimination in education. Again, it also may cause you to lose your children, lose custody of children, in terms of property rights.
I would like to know, in your opinion, to you, what would a racially just gun law look like to you?
So I've thought about this quite a bit, and honestly, I guess what would be racially, and the only way I think that is racially just is if it was criminally scary. Any other sort of law is going to be subject to, will probably be to this person. And that is obviously going to be black, brown people in a precarious situation. So I would say that without criminally scary, the racially just gun law would be one that obviously does not intend to prevent certain uses from possessing firearms. It would limit the discretion that the licensing authority has in determining who can and cannot get a license. The good moral character requirement an issue. I think that there needs to be clear criteria that guidelines that the licensing authority can use to determine the moral character. It's not something that they just decide based on the interest in your perspective.
So with that being said, like, so what are your overall thoughts on that? Can you state that on that?
So, it's difficult to say because you haven't yet seen it. You don't actually know what's going to happen. What I can say is that I don't think it's going to be any financial effects to state firearm companies. Just simply it's going to be easier for us to carry
We'll do a question and answer as we go through. Sister, I'll have a question too for you.
Sure.
And one question, because we know that you are competency shooter as well, right? So what are some of the benefits that you feel are associated, with training good?
Okay, well, let me start by saying that the first time the fire was put in my hands, I was maybe 7 or 8 years old. Okay, when the fire was first put in my hand. I have an uncle who at the time was an Air Force veteran, national judo champion, and was a gunsmith. So he made many of them custom pieces. And my father's one of 19 children, so this particular uncle was not in the habit of, well, let's hide from him. He was in the habit of not hiding on board. They will learn safe and responsible behavior with firearms because it's something that's going to be around. At some point, they're going to be in the world, and rather they learn everything here in regards to anything, and they learned outside. So I was about 7 or 8 years old. I did the same. My son, don't have a business. I didn't start him early, but he's, he's a licensed carrier as well. So I'm the one that's so, we need that. My grandson is 7 years old. At 2 years old, Brother Coffee had mentioned something about dry fire. And at 2 years old, my grandson, I would sit him on my lap. I would sit up on my bed, put my back against my headboard. But as far as on the wall, in the bed. And I would put his little 2-year-old hands around the grip of my body, put my hands over his hands, and to practice my trigger discipline on my firearm. When I tell you I started at 2 years old with him, and it's 7, he has an amazing trigger discipline. He has an amazing, I haven't even taken to range use live fire, and that's where starting that. But when I tell you we have Nerf records in the house, he has one shot Nerf guns and rifles and so on and so forth.
So, why do you feel that it's important to be a part of the firearm community so far as the
Is two reasons why I find it very important for sisters to get involved in fire training. One is, believe it or not, whether you are 4'11" or 5'11", you are a soft target. I don't care how hard you think you are, how tough you are, if you're from the neighborhood, a community, the hood, you are a soft target. Many times we walk around alone, we have our hand on a cell phone, not really paying attention. We have a pocketbook on one arm, bags in hands, not really paying attention. We have a pocketbook on our hands, and a stroller of children. We are in heels, too busy being cute. Cute is fine, but what are you actually paying attention to? You are the soft target. So training is important to you because although you're not going to be everybody, the idea is to have a leg up. See it coming before it possibly comes. Knowing what to do, that if they get the jump on you, you have that long to react or not react. That's going to be the difference between you living, dying, or at least getting away. And it doesn't have to be firearms training. I've studied martial arts, I've studied boxing, I've studied, of course, firearms training. I've studied tactical. You need to do something. And you need to do it with your children. And there's no age that they need to start at.
That's really interesting because that's a good segue and lead into the next question. Do you think that's appropriate to train them there?
Like I said, I started my grandson at 2 with just dry fire, which is just getting him comfortable and seeing that this is not a toy, this is real. And it actually helps his hand-eye coordination. Right, absolutely. So you can start as young as 2. I would say for dry firing, start young. For live firing, there isn't an age. It's based on discipline and maturity. If you're, I know 30-year-olds, and I will not confirm because they don't listen. But truly, they will not listen, they know everything, and that's not safe. With my grandson 7, I will take him any day, every day, and put a 22 in his hand with a live round in it. So it would be up to you as a parent and a disciplinarian to know your child or whoever you're taking. The younger the better. They're sponges when they're young. Just like you can teach them second language, you can teach them any discipline.
Thank you. Brother Robert, now that this law has been passed, can I carry now in New York?
Again, everybody, my name is Robert Schechter. I'm an attorney. Now, all the Supreme Court decision came down, which, in the event you're not familiar, there was a case that over the last 4 or 6 years sort of made its way through the federal court system and got before the Supreme Court. And then in a 6-3 decision, the Supreme Court said that if you're going to evaluate laws against the Second Amendment, we have to look at them in the lens of the history, text, and tradition, which meant that if you're going to pass a law, it had to be a law that, in essence, was in effect in 1776. This means that most, if not all, proper cause standard was unconstitutional, and proper cause was what made New York may issue, and was up to the discretion of the licensing officer or the judge or the city NYPD, whether you were able to establish that you had some special need greater than the general public and the people in your same profession, the same neighborhood. They specifically, under the proper cause standard, went to 9 people who said, I live in a neighborhood that's incredibly dangerous. And they said, I don't care. There's no, that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean everyone in the neighborhood gets to have one, you're not going to get one. And what we saw in any place that had the May issue scheme was corruption. People went to prison for selling permits. People bribed people. They went to typically the incredibly wealthy or people who could establish. People who have been victims of crimes even recently started to have their licenses taken away. The people, generally the people in power, to limit who can have guns, and that was the case as well as recently passed. And what we saw when the governor called in a extreme emergency session, was they immediately went to work trying to put in more laws to stop you from being able to. And they identified a whole bunch of places that it was now going to be illegal to carry, even though for over 100 years there was no issue with people carrying in those places. It's now when they could not stop people that they did not want carrying. Now you can't take it in restaurants. Now you can't take it in parks. Now you can't take it into churches. Or what they did was, which I think is going to be the next step, is they then began to make it so that there are places that you can't go. They're sensitive areas. Even though the Supreme Court specifically said you can't say all of New York City is a sensitive area. They then said, all right, Times Square, which again, they didn't even specify sort of where does Times Square begin and end. Times Square is big. And what you end up with is they want to make it so that you cannot go where you typically go. I think it would not surprise me if ultimately they try to get it banned from apartments or places that take government money or any other places like that, where you're going to try to push people to really limit them. And those will all be challenged. There's challenges going on right now, but the short answer, can you carry meat in the city? No. You have to get your license, but they can't deny you for lack of proper cause. But as Mr. Jenkins said, you're going to end up potentially getting that now under this a new arbitrary standard of your judgment, your moral character, which again is another challenge that's going to come into effect. They can no longer say you didn't provide proper cause. They'll just say you were arrested a couple times, and then they got smart. They can't say you were arrested 6 times and deny you. Now they say the facts and circumstances surrounding your 6 arrests are why you got denied. So it's always a game, but the court has thrown everybody a sort of a lifeline in that they can't, realistically, they can't really keep getting away with it now. And you will have recourse.
When does the new York law go into effect? The one that has just been rendered by the Supreme Court. When does that go into effect for the states that have been affected positively by that?
Well, when the Supreme Court decision was put in, it went into effect sort of immediately. So they then remanded a whole bunch of cases back. Cases that governed magazine capacity, cases that governed what would be considered an assault weapon, which would just be a rifle that's typically in common use. They sold millions of them, and New York saying you can't have them. They're often the best weapon in self-defense if you have multiple people coming against you. They're also generally affordable, and they went out of their way to send me back and say that all these courts that previously said the assault weapon weapons ban were constitutional have to reconsider this. And they have to go back to the history, text, and tradition and show me in 1776 when this assault weapon was banned. Keep in mind, all the way back then, you could pretty much have whatever you want. People had battleships. Like, you could have, like, whatever you really could afford. So I think it's important to sort of look back to the history, text, and tradition. And again, it's an entirely different time, but that's sort of where you have to look at it. There was not a lot of gun regulation in that past. And for a regulation to stand, you have to show me that it is there. And if you don't have any proof of it being there, it's presumed unconstitutional. I'll yield.
Alright, so I do want to elaborate on the question I was posed to about how does competition benefit you, right? So I've been doing training for a ton of people, right? And so what I find is that when we're talking about preparing or preparation to be able to handle a situation, you can't put the probability of you actually being able to shoot someone or the probability of you being robbed is a very small probability, right? So competition, what that does is it puts you in a situation where you're forced to perform. You have a ton of people looking at you. You have to shoot these targets. You got to be fast. You got to be accurate. It puts that pressure on you, that pressure to perform in an environment that that should shake you up, right? So competition shooting also is like you do this dry fire. Dry fire is weapons manipulation absent of ammo, right? So you're not using there's no bullets, there's no anything, but you train, you learn how to do all those different things I talked about earlier. But it allows you to sometimes just doing that is boring, right? Without any type of result. Like again, the probability of you actually doing it is or being robbed or in a situation of self-defense is little. The competition allows you to excuse me, by training and doing those, it gives you a reward, right? So competition does that. So you're training, at least you have a reason to do it through competition, and you have those weekly competitions, weekly matches that you can actually see your progress, like a quantitative number, so you get ranked, right? So there's different classes. You start off with unranked, unclassified, D class, C class, B class, A, right? Master and Grandmaster. So you're able to say, okay, this is where I am today, right? What you'll find is, I talk to guys and they're like, yo, especially guys, they're like, well, I can shoot. Then they'll go out. When they go out, they get spanked by this 12-year-old little white girl, right? And then their ego is shot. And so they do one of two things. They're either going to say, okay, well, damn, I'm not as good as I thought, and then they're going to train, or they just quit. But it's a good way, especially for guys. Like, we are the most egotistical. We swear we're good. We don't need any help. When that little 12-year-old white girl spanks your ass in that match, you will rethink what you thought. That's what happened to me. Everybody's like, yo, you're good, Quincy. You're good, you're good. Go there, and that little 12-year-old girl, I know who she is. She beat me. And I had to come back. And so I think that just, again, allows you to train harder, to see where you are really. I'm going to implore you guys not to just listen to the old military guy who's been in the field for 30 years. He's going to give you all these pointers for bullshit. Police can't shoot, okay? Unless they're in some military, unless you're in some special forces, they don't touch pistols. They don't train as much as you do in competition. They don't, right? So that's why you will find competitive shooters are the ones training the special forces. That's who they use to train them how to. I shoot 30,000 rounds a year. You're not going to find that in the police department. You're not going to find that in the military. You don't do that, right? So I implore you guys is to I don't know if you guys want to skip it. I know we're going to go around. Training and practice. A lot of people don't even understand the difference between training and practice, right? So training, let's go with practice. Practice, it's something that you already know. You're doing something over and over again. It's something that you already know, right? Training is actually taking in new information and then doing that over and over again. So you have to, I implore you guys to go out and seek training to take in new information, right? Because what's happening, like I see it also with all the bush groups that I'm in, right? They just stay within their groups, and it's a groups of ignorance, right? And we have to come outside of that ignorance to learn new skills. Because we just keep doing the same thing. We go, we look at the target, we're excited because of the grouping on the target, they have tight groups. But how long did it take you to shoot those groups? If it took you 10 seconds to shoot a 2-inch group, who cares that you shot 2-inch groups? How fast did you do it? We have to challenge ourselves. Competition allows you to do that because you're going to lose. If you shot that in 10 seconds, you're going to lose. You better shoot that in less than 3 seconds, right? If you're really, you know what I'm saying? Like even distance shot, you're going to have to be able to learn how to do it fast and accurate. And if you don't add time and a time element to what you're doing yourself a disservice. I think that kind of goes over there.
I want to add on to what my brother is saying. This is an art form. I want to be clear here. All right, we want you to understand that shooting is an art form. Okay, here in the community, we get in our heads that I want to get my gun permit, and then I usually want to have a firearm, which more than likely I'm going to turn on someone that looks like me. Okay, so we talk about the downside or the dark side of firearm ownership in our community. But the art form that this man and this sister is telling me makes shooting magnificent. And these are the truths that are lost on our community. Yes, we could get our firearms, but my brother is telling you, if you can't shoot and you don't know how to align your sights, and one more thing, you need to understand prior to getting into your new lifestyle. This is a very expensive undertaking. Okay? Let me make that clear to you again. Y'all think y'all gonna go get your gun permits, right? And then when you go there, they're gonna tell you to go buy your firearm, right? And then you're gonna have your dream gun, right? You all have them. And when you get your backside in the store, and they talk about 7, 8, 9 on you. Then you talk about a holster. And the bullet cost or the rounds, the prices are through the roof. So understand this, that you must have a little disposable income to enter into the game that we play in for real. Even this one here, he's sitting here all quiet. He's looking like an attorney. Don't you sleep on this man right here. Look, I'm telling you right now, everyone here does this, except our little neophyte on the end. We're going to take care of it. We're going to bring into the fold quickly. But we want to understand, I'm trying to bring a little human to it, but I do want you to understand. This is costly. Yes, sir.
First of all, I want to thank you, Brother Ashanti, for bringing this forum together. Let's give the brother a round of applause. Now, my question is it also true for our youth that, considering this aspect of it being an art, is it also true that our youth can get into competitive shooting and they can pay for college? Is that true?
We're going to talk into the artistic piece, and when we get into Q&As with the brothers talking about is the scholarships that are offered to the communities. That John Jay College and Marist College here in New York are the only 2 schools that offer scholarships to shoot. But our children are not taking advantage of this. They want to run up the field and dunk a ball and slide in the third. I would just slide into a degree, just shoot for free. All right, so I mean, there are a myriad of things. What about Olympic competitions that we can get into? All right, we continue to talk about the negative aspects of firearm ownership, but we don't talk about the wonderful things that we could do, the camaraderie, the smell alone of the gunpowder is addictive.
You're
You know, I'm really smelling that lead. You know, but I digress. You know, I digress. But we'll do questions after, brother. But I just wanted to say that. So we're going to get back into the panel piece, and I want to turn it back over to Sister Julia because I have a few more questions. All right. So I would like to ask about the indiscriminate denials of the people of the black and brown community that have been denied at a higher rate when they go and apply for their firearm permits. And I want to add a little something to that. I want to talk about the people who qualify in the eyes of the community, that didn't have a felony, that, you know, didn't fall under some of the rules and regulations that were hinder you. What about that?
Well, honestly, I can't really speak to the people who are denied licenses. I think maybe Robert would probably have more information about that. You know, I don't ever get to communicate with people who are denied licenses.
You get some people who already got qualified.
And they have to be licensed in other states. I mean, it comes to New York.
So the reciprocity piece, it doesn't apply, so you get into that as well. Would you like to address that?
Yeah, I mean, there's always, at least what we've identified, that people are not prohibited. In New York, it's a felony. They also added in, there's also misdemeanor crimes of domestic violence and felonies that makes you federally prohibited. New York added what's called a serious offense, which is just an additional bunch of misdemeanors that will just take away your gun rights, generally without you really even knowing it. Some of them are more violent misdemeanors, but one of them is every single criminal possession of a controlled substance is a serious offense. So attempted criminal possession of a controlled substance, which is a B misdemeanor, your lowest level misdemeanor that you can get, you lose your gun rights. You can now, what we saw was people getting arrested for these, applying, never being convicted, so they're not prohibited, and then they would have to go and explain arrests from 25, 35 years ago, generally at a higher rate. Again, it sort of depends where you're going, but oftentimes it appeared that judges would sort of question how you could get picked up and charged with some of these charges that it appeared that the judge's background did not necessarily match what some of the people applying for, and it is often very easy to be arrested. When we studied it, we saw that about 25% of all African Americans are arrested and their charges are dismissed, or dismissed ACD or dismissed non-prosecution, and that rate is about double that of white people. Basically, in many ways you can try to look at that statistic, but it would be about a quarter, and that we found. When you begin to use arrest as a basis to judge people on their moral character, fitness, and judgment, you will have a disproportionate effect on African Americans, Hispanics. The numbers are almost identical to the Hispanic community. And that numbers all came from the Division of Criminal Justice Services. The last time we looked at that was a couple years ago, and I do not imagine that the numbers have really changed. They've consistently been around that. But it does appear that there is a overemphasis on having the people in the black and brown community sort of having to explain oftentimes either situations that are outside of their control or the worst moments in their life to try to justify how they're now 25, 35 years ago different. And over time, we've also, in the criminal justice system, one of the tenets is that you're supposed to sort of you're moving on from that and growing, and that's why New York tried to put forward their ability to seal certain convictions, and many people went out and sealed their convictions, whether if you were convicted of 2 misdemeanors or 1 felony and 1 misdemeanor, you could seal it. Many people did that, and they went and applied for a gun license or a gun, and they found out they were still prohibited. because they wrote into it that it still comes up in relation, it's still there. And it's sealed, but they wanted to make sure that it wasn't expunged. They wanted to make sure that you still have to list it on your applications. They wanted it to still come up on your background, if you were trying to buy a firearm. You then had to, and of course, some of the things that they chose, if you get caught with a gun, that was one of the things that you were not allowed to steal, no matter how many years. It could be 30, 40 years, it didn't matter. They still didn't. So then you'd have to go back and try to figure out how to get your rights back, which no one tells you. You then have to apply for a certificate of relief from civil disabilities or a certificate of good conduct. A certificate of relief from civil disabilities, you could apply at the court if you were convicted of one or less felonies and you did not get state prison. If you were sent to state prison, you cannot apply at the courthouse, you have to apply to the Department of Corrections. The Department of Corrections, at least we've seen over the last 15 or so years, will not restore your gun rights. Now, on the court level, you can...
Julia? Now that you're a part of the firearm conversation and that you have been part of the brief that has been submitted and you have played a major role, I would like to think, and moving us forward out of a centuries-old madness. What's your position and how you feel about becoming involved in the art of firearm ownership and firearm operation?
Well, what I can say is I think that my involvement was quite by accident, but it's really been a blessing in disguise. I am from Los Angeles, California. My family is from the South, but growing up in Los Angeles, it was in a city where people generally possess firearms in the same way they do in the South. So growing up, the message in terms of firearms to me was, who has guns, police officers, and bad guys. And, so it's sort of like a fear that I had of firearms. Since becoming involved in the brief, I mean, the issue of our clients being arrested and prosecuted was the primary reason I joined. But after I did that, I did a lot of research into the African American tradition of bearing arms in this country, and I learned a lot about how, what I learned, all the way back, from 1600s all the way back to the movement, our lives and our rights were preserved through the use of firearms, individual use of firearms in self-defense. And so that, for me, really sort of addressed the concerns that I had about it. Generally speaking, I know like the Black church and I guess Campbell's are against firearms. But I don't know that they have a clear understanding of the benefits that how firearms benefit us as a people. And so that was really what got me interested in it. And then after I learned about that, I decided that I needed to figure out, or I needed to learn about gun safety, how to properly use a gun, so that I'm not just thinking about laws and procedures, but I actually, can kind of walk the walk as well as talk the talk.
Bring it
So
in.
I'm
One
very
at a
excited.
time. That's right.
I'm very excited to sort of get on this journey and take it seriously, and see where it takes us.
You're going to be brought in for a sorority of black women that is, you guys make me so proud. Like as a firearm instructor, I'm just, okay, I'm a little jaded, rightfully so. But I just think it is a magnificent sight to see a black woman with a firearm on her hip and that knows how to use it. I just don't want you to have to come and walk around. But it is something to see the attitude and the energy and the confidence that I see in the sisters on the range, especially ones in the competition area, and how confident and what it does for your confidence. Because I want to just make a statement and we're going to go on. Because here I've discovered in New York, a lot of the brothers, or a lot of the men, they don't encourage the women to get their firearms. Present company excluded. But for the majority, the women can get their gun permit because they really don't run into many problems with the law. So you are in a wonderful position. And I encourage every woman in here who has not had a run-in with the law, take advantage of this conversation and then sign up with me, and we're gonna get you in the right place. Take advantage of this meeting, take advantage of what is going on here. Don't just sit here, this is just not a feel-good meeting. This is not a coming together just to sit around here and just, talk about firearms. We have to be proactive. Be proactive. Be proactive.
I just wanted to, you mentioned confidence, and I wanted to kind of speak about that. Another one of the reasons that I was interested in pursuing, gaining the knowledge about firearms is that when we signed onto the group, we got a lot of backlash, and there were many people I've seen, black men, and not just around the Second Amendment issue, but around the police violence issue, literally crying on television, begging, like people to stop killing, so it's disgusting. And so, I mean, I understand where fear comes from, and it's very sad, but you have to decide at some point if you're going to acquiesce.
That's right.
Rights,
That's
and
right.
when it comes to the Second Amendment, many people are going to do it voluntarily, believing that it's going to somehow make it safer, which is crazy. And so I was seeing that sort of willingness, that fear, and that willingness to give up. And I decided, we have to decide as people whether we're going to stand up, right, and face potentially dying, or just lay down and let them do it. I'm not advocating that we should name it like the government.
I am.
Us, we need to stand up, right? Instead of being like,
Shit.
we don't have guns, we're gonna talk. And so I think that's really sort of the driving force behind it. Is like this idea that we need to, as a people, be self-determined and confident, right? And then in the training, I see in these what we've done on LinkedIn, there is a sense of ownership of your life and of what's happening around you, and control that we just kind of don't have to let.
You want to speak, brother, on it?
Please. First and foremost, I just want to say Martin made progress in my progressive life. So that's first understanding. Okay. But one of the things I want to know is this class action suitable? Okay. If there's a clear pattern of discriminatory judgments as it relates to obtaining licenses that can be clearly defined along racial lines. What I have found historically is that one of the things that there's two things, that gets respected in this matrix. That's fear and money. Okay? So it's the reason for the restriction of those, obtaining those guns is to maintain a certain fear. Okay? But I'm hoping that there is at least an option from the money standpoint, like you have to put pressure on them from multiple angles. So while I've seen, yes, I just want to know, like, what's the possibility of that, or does it make even sense to go down that road?
You know that there are, and have been many agencies, Firearm Policy Coalition, Gun Owners America. I believe there are others that are constantly with people who were denied. Probably going to come from if now indicated that you should not have been denied. Now you have to try to put a dollar amount on what your damages are. Ultimately, these are very expensive lawsuits. We're not talking hundreds of thousands. You can spend $500,000, $1 million. They're going to fight you all the way. But again, if there's a group, if you can get everybody can get connected, and you have a list of 50, 100, 2,000, then I'm sure that there are organizations, and I do know that there are African American gun owners that I assume would be the ones that would want to take something like this on in the event of more national. Unfortunately, that it may be a case where that would be the avenue to go down. But if you have a group of people, instead I have 2,000 plaintiffs, NRA, although in the past, the NRA has buckled when there was a situation where they could have stood up, when there was I'm gonna say his name was Castillo, a situation where you would have expected them to say something and then they didn't say anything. So if you get enough people together,
We can do it.
Because from a local politics, a politics standpoint, to me, if we make this an issue on the local level, like, I'm not even thinking about voting for you unless you, okay, like, don't even knock on our door. We're not saying this is a main issue, because if you're saying that it is, just the money's gonna take to even carry forth it, then we have to start on the local, like, let's see what the other stuff, what do you want to do about this, you want to clear hands?
there are people who have Second Amendment and they're single issue voters. And if you over time, if you, first of all, everyone, most people have to come out to vote. New York historically, under 31% of the voting population votes in the state of New York. So if everyone who didn't vote actually voted, you would win 3-1. But of the people who are voting, if you come together and tell people, this is what I care about, and then if they don't, you put up your own candidate, you raise money, you don't give them money, you can change the message. But right now, the politicians, especially in New York City, they believe that guns, there's only one thing to say about guns, which is no one's having guns. That's sort of what they believe, and they've been running on that. It's been a sort of a Democratic talking point for a long time.
Brother Earl, I wanted to say something to you. You said Martin made progress when Malcolm picked up the gun. Martin Luther King was denied his gun permit when they blew up his father's house.
Yeah.
I don't know what the progress was.
No, but what I'm saying is that, the classic adage is good cop, bad cop, right? And they painted Malcolm the bad cop, that iconic picture with the gun. And they gave Martin they acquiesced and allowed him to have certain platforms. So the point I'm making is that until we make this such a point of having guns, like it's a clear point, then we'll have some conversation on this other side of the ledger. Okay, we have to make it a clear, like it's a line in the sand.
This is interesting, Ken. We'll talk to you later because I told you and I are going to talk. You and I are going to include every member here. We're going to bring them back. We're going to sit down. And we're going to talk the next phase of the plan of bringing the community together. Remember, this thing has levels. This is not the end. We're going to have responsibility.
Yeah, just one thing I want to be careful on. When we're talking about Second Amendment, black people, I implore you to not adopt the white man's mentality on all these things that just because they on the right of the gun, right? We cannot. What I find is go into these areas, go into this realm of guns, and then we're going to start talking the same talk that white people talk when it comes to guns. We can love guns, we can train with guns. We do not have to adopt the mentality that they had. You see what they did with Fernando Castillo. When he got murdered, NRA did nothing. Right? We've got to be careful. I get it. We want to perpetuate, us and guns. We want to erase that fear that we've had, which I want to tell you is okay. Right? I had that fear when I first started. It's normal. You're talking about an explosion in your head, and you already know how the police are, right? So that fear we should have, and I get it, and it's normal. But I don't like when you have like Holy on New York. Right?
I'm sorry, can you use the mic, please?
Sorry. When you have people like Holy on New York, great, he does great in demoing guns and all that. But all they do is he's a puppet for the right hand side, right? So they tell him to speak on this, speak on that, and what they always do is they put a black face to represent white supremacy. So we've got to be careful on, yes, we want to go into guns, we want to understand these things, we want to master these things, but we cannot adopt the mentality that they have. We can do it differently, without adopting their mentality. So I get it, you know, we want to perpetuate this thing, but we need to stay true to ourselves as black people, right? And don't get caught up in this whole, and I see it all the time. Like, there's very few of us at these matches. And the ones that we do see, the don't tread on me on their jerseys and stuff like that, like, bro, you know what that's about.
Right.
You know what that represents.
You know the
They
history.
just gave it to me, okay. Understand, so I
That's
just
right.
wanted to add to that. As we're talking about, you know, the amendments and voting and all that type of stuff, listen, if we're gonna hold, you know, feet to the fire, we gotta make sure we do that and maintain who we are, not adopt their mentality.
Yes, yes, fine.
The brother mentioned Malcolm picking up the gun. The picture of Malcolm with the gun was Malcolm had an M1 carbine protecting his house. Now, this discussion has been about carry, open carry, but the tradition, and the sister made a reference to the South. In the South, of course, black people have it, because people hunt.
Yes.
So now, what I'm asking about is guns for home protection, since the question of not.
That works, but another thing that you can do here in New York, home protection, that's a shotgun or your long gun. One of the easiest licenses to obtain here in New York City is your long gun shotgun permit.
I just wanted to,
We can touch that
no,
about
but I just wanted to mention
Yeah.
that this is a tradition for us.
Yes, sir.
In the late '50s, Robert Williams in Monroe, North Carolina, had to deal with the Klan and wrote a book called Negroes with Guns. In the early '60s, Deacons for Defense and Justice in Louisiana, Mississippi, carried guns. They carried long guns. And long guns were to protect the home and to protect the community. Now, we don't know what happened in Buffalo. And we know that this is not going to be the last invasion of our community. Now, the national discussion for white people is with assault weapons. But what I'm asking about is long guns for home protection.
Like again, I agree with you on long gun home protection. You are in New York, running the risk of being redundant. The easiest license to get here in New York City is your long guns. So, I'm answering the question, you can go online, see Fitness Fuel 5, and sign up on the sheet, and take gun platform. Okay, and we're gonna walk you through that whole process. But I absolutely advocate every person file for your long gun permit. And one more thing, you do know AR-15 is illegal in New York City, right? Okay, so we want to make sure that you understand, let's not go off the cliff on this thing here. But I do want you to understand, as a part of the long gun, shotgun permits, you are permitted to own a carbine rifle in New York City. You will be, I would say, held to the 10-round magazine business. I'll say that right there, but you can do it, okay? I want you to understand and get over the whole blockage that you cannot obtain your firearms here in New York City. That is what this whole coming together is about, to clear the air, to make sure that you understand clearly what your rights are as brothers and sisters of the community that make up the large community, okay? You do have a right here that can make it a little bit more difficult for you, which is that's their job, okay? So I would suggest for individuals who are interested in getting their firearm permits, see us at the end. But what I want to tell you is this right here. File for your premise permit. Get it. Just get the premise permit here in New York. Don't you be coming out here talking about I'm going to conceal carry, because you're not. The brother just explained to you, even when the law has changed, it isn't going to work in your favor right now. So what you want to do, if you are amongst the few of us that can get a firearm permit, and there's a few of us, it's very few. There's very few of us that can get it, but without the point I'm making, get the premise permit, because then you're going to have that in hand. When the situation changes over, my brother and my sister, and they'll be at better to explain. You already have your gun permit. Now, he'll be able to explain, once you've already been granted your gun permit, how it will work to transfer it over to concealed carry. Okay? But I want you to know, get your permit. Put your name on our list for Fitness, Fuel, and Fire. We can go into it in detail with you. You see we have the brain trust here, where if you have legal problems, you have people here that's going to answer your question. You have another sister here for the sisterhood. She's a part, I want to be a part of her team. I'm already with Brother Latif out of Jersey, so we're all one family, okay? We're going to see to it that everybody here is taken care of, okay? That's the whole point of us coming together here, to know for a fact that you can obtain your firearm permit here in New York City. I have people in the audience with me that started with 0. Now they done went to all the way up to 150. Started from nothing and got everything. And another thing I'm going to say to you, right? We already know the enemy, he's here. We already know about that. Got you, brother. I'm going to bring you up after. We already know the enemy is here. Okay? But when you're filing your permit, he's not there. The only time the enemy is going to rear his head, in my humble opinion, if your paperwork isn't right. If a T is not crossed and an I is not dotted and a document is missing, that's when that person that you're going to always blame for your problem, that's when he's going to rear his ugly head. Okay? But if you do it right, dot your I's, cross your T's. If you need dispositions, let's get that. If there are documents that you're going to need to attach to your paperwork, let's get that. Then you won't be talking to me, well, the white man, he got in the way. No, he did not. You got in the way. You can get it. It is his job to make it difficult for you. That's his job. I got you, dog. But you can get it. That's all I want to stress to you. I do not want any negativity coming to me when you talk to me. I want to hear, I'm here ready to get my government. I don't want to hear none of you talking to me negatively. I only want positive vibes. I want confident individuals who believe that through your own energy, you can bring about the change that you desire.
That's right.
I'm not going to entertain you, and I'll hang up on your ass. I'm telling you now, because then your energy is going to be reflected upon Ashanti. And then you're going to drag me down with negative vibrations, and there's no room. No one at this table is negative. Everyone that's sitting at this table is accomplished in their, his or her chosen area. So there is no negativity here. We are all believers. Actually, we're all knowers. We know it can be done. How do we know? We've all gone through it. Okay? So this little guy right here, sits on my side here, don't sleep on this stuff. Right? Just let you know, we're in the game for real. This brother here, shooter, before you go, what do you need? Come on up, bro.
As you know, as Bob would put it on another track in terms of the long arm, if you can, as you or Robert, speak to how you stack the position.
Say it.
Right? Get the long arm to me.
Say it.
Give them some specificity on like where it goes. That's not going to keep you. That's true.
That's the queen.
Right? Okay. So, you get your long arm permits, rifle. They still call it rifle shots up permit. It's so long. So you get your rifle shots up permit, which is a different part of NYPD. It is easier to get those permits. And then you move into other areas. Get a security guard, state security guard permit.
Stream of income.
And and as you move, you get another type of a security guard permit. The armed one.
Which is
So
I'm sorry.
as you if you have an opportunity, because we're talking about New York, right? We're on 125th Street right now. We're talking about New York City for the most part, right? But we're still talking about New York State as a whole. easier to get your handgun permits in other counties in New York City, which give you reciprocity in other states throughout the United States. You might know somebody that has a security firm, and they might have jobs in New York City, you know? And meanwhile, you got a Westchester County gun permit, which you get on their payroll, and you can come into the city, right? That's just for that job. And we talk about keeping everything legit. And I'm just letting you know how you stack your credentials, right? The other side of that coin is, let's go after this one, in terms of having outside of New York City permit in other counties, right? You have to be really mindful that they are serious about coming into the 5 boroughs with a gun, and you don't have a New York City NYPD gun permit. Because let's say you live in, I don't know, Mount Vernon, right? And you gotta take a trip, and you're not flying out of HPN, you're flying out of LGA or JFK. And you just didn't get that signal like when you was coming across 125th Street to go across the Charles Bridge. You got a problem.
Major problem. Yes, brother.
Yeah, I just want to say that my interest in this is different from everything I've heard so far, although you have touched upon what I am actually talking about. The whole thing with firearms is that it is a discipline. It is part and parcel to the learning curve. You are an attorney. You are an attorney. The people here are professionals. To have a disciplined mind enhances everything you do. Not everyone who not every kid who studies piano will be Duke Ellington. That is not why I advocate that our children learn the discipline of firearms. Firearms are as American as apple pie. They have 3 times as many firearms in America as they have people. This is a discipline that needs to be learned and taught. It makes them better at everything else. You might be into computers, but learning how to use a firearm will help you no matter what you do, and only qualified people can teach you that. Only disciplined minds can appreciate that. So I'm not afraid of somebody robbing my house. I'm an old man. You know, I'm still alive. I'm still healthy. If I was living in fear, I live in New York. I could buy a gun. I don't need a teacher for me to buy a gun. We have more guns in New York than any place, in spite of all the rules. What we don't have are people who know what the hell they're doing.
That's the problem, because the people don't understand just the basic laws about target and what's beyond. You got people running around now on scooters and shit, shooting, doing drive-bys on scooters. We have sank down to a level of degenerate mindsets here that makes it rough for what he does, what I do, what this man does, what this queen does, what this queen does. And then she gets, see the idiots that do drive-bys on scooter, they beat her down on the end. But it makes it hard for us. It makes my job difficult. You can't, how do you advocate firearm training and safety in the city where our children are walking around with 9mm right in their sweatpant pockets? They'll stand right next to you and they'll stick their hand in their pocket and they'll come out with a 9mm. I see it on car. Do you understand? So we like one time we had an interview and he said, there are members of the community I wouldn't trust with a plastic spoon and fork. There is a segment of our community that you just don't, we're not addressing that small minority. We're looking at the people in this room that have a principle and a purpose. And this is what we need to talk about here, all right? Yes, Father.
I'm addressing what the brother said about going to another county to get a permit. But my question is, does it have to do with your address? I live in Brooklyn, I'm going to.
Yeah, address, brother, address.
You can get it where you live or work.
Oh, yeah, so I don't have to worry about the address at all.
Where you live or work.
If you get it out of another county, Robert, tell us what happened.
It's where you live or work. The problem is you're not gonna be able to come back into the city.
Five boroughs is a whole other world.
Five boroughs right now, you still need you still have a state issue license, but on it says except for the five boroughs unless you get permission from the commission. That again, we challenged this. People had proper cars outside the city, and they said, well, you have proper cars outside the city. You carry it all over the state. You can't carry it in the city. And they argued that there was a different standard, that even though this proper cause standard they claimed was constitutional, that they argued that New York City has different ones. That's no longer the case, so theoretically, if you had now, since that's out the window, you should probably over time be able to get a license to be able to go into the city. But again, it's not going to be quick. Well, I mean, we'll see. But I think what is important that we sort of haven't touched on, that they make it very difficult to sort of teach children and other people and go shooting. I mean, it's still illegal for you to touch a loaded handgun in the state of New York. It's still considered a Class C violent felony, mandatory minimum 3.5 years, maximum 15. This law, though, did say that you have a constitutional right to carry a loaded firearm outside your home for self-defense. So there is currently some challenges. We'll sort of see where they go down on just the presumption of illegal or ill intent by just carrying a gun outside your home. But I think we're going to have to sort of work on training, whether it's in New York or whether it's in Connecticut or whether it's in New Jersey or in Delaware. Other places don't make it. That other places, most places you can buy a gun and then you can go shoot it. You can buy a handgun in many places. Here we make you jump through hoops. It's probably going to take a year, 2 years, go out through this training. And even in those places where you may need to, they don't consider it a violent felony mandatory prison sentences just for touching it. Sorry. I can keep going.
You kind of touched on some of my questions, and it's not just for me, but for other people as well. So the question is, what is the difference between a permit and a license? And is it the case that only law enforcement can carry outside of the state? I think law enforcement has to have permission to take their firearm outside the state.
There is the HR 218, which is the Federal Law Enforcement Safety Act, which allows active or retired law enforcement to carry within all 50 states so long as they have a card that says they've trained within the last year, and they have their active or retired ID.
What about civilians? Is there
There's no
document that they can carry outside of the state?
The only thing civilians have is you can begin to get your license in your state. You can get your out-of-state non-resident licenses. Places that people get are Florida, Utah, I'm going to say Virginia, Arizona. I think Maryland. I think they know. So those you sort of piece together the map of places you want to go. Some places are going to be, they may not issue it, and it may not make any sense. I think with Massachusetts, we're charging people $500 or $600, and it lasts a year or 2 years, and maybe you don't
about this, I mean, whether that's gonna be the next way that folks are told no.
It's here. This is what they said. What you got, Robert?
They're gonna say that your judgment based on who you associate with and what messages you say, they're gonna try to use that, likely to deny you, and that would be a violation of both the First Amendment right and the 14th Amendment right, and it's gonna lead to other challenges, and you're probably gonna see, again, a disproportionate number of people who are getting denied. But red flag laws have already been in place. New York City is not at the forefront of them, but you should, in any case, always be very careful. Do whatever you want. But I think, imagine whatever you say or put out there was viewed in the most negative way, designed to be used against you by someone who does not like you the most. And if that person wanted to use this against you, and your state has extremist protection orders, and they can twist that to say this person threatened me or said he had a gun. They'll go to a judge or whatever, and that judge will look at whatever this picture is or whatever you're posting or whatever, and the judge will sign off on it, and you will find out that your guns are taken away when they show up at your house, potentially at night, potentially. So, and in some county, they'll come 3, 4, 5 at a time. They'll come, and that's when you will know you temporarily lost your rights based on a post, based on a message, and then it's going to be on you to fight to get it back.
How about if they don't say anything? Can you give us an example of that, Robert?
I think again, if you keep your mouth shut, you're gonna pretend you probably want to say very little until you have a chance to talk to somebody, like an attorney, because you don't want to put yourself in a bad spot, because you're probably going to be very frustrated or flustered. We saw that there was a lot of times people were in situations that these happen very quickly, and you have to come up. You're not providing an attorney in any of these situations because they don't consider it's not a criminal action, and they don't really care. The firm that I'm working at, when we had some downtime, we put forward a prepaid legal service that does provide red flag protection in the event you were a victim of that, but also in the event you were involved in a lawful self-defense shooting, we would cover that, and we would represent you. So there's options where there are other criminal defense lawyers that I'm sure if you said, hey, if I'm involved in red flag law, can I, but these are expensive situations that you're going to come back and fight against. But to answer your main question, yeah, they're going to look at who you're associating with, and I think it's the New Jersey carry concealed application. I don't remember if the old one has it. They're asking about what groups you're associating with, and it's sort of broad. That my guess is that some of the groups mentioned here would probably count as groups that if you said you were a member of and they were advocating for sort of the destabilization or changing of society or culture, you'd probably have to list the name of it. And I'm sure the answer that once you list it, they're not going to go, oh, that's good to know. Like that's only going to lead to more scrutiny and more looking at it. But again, you have an ability to associate and do things where you're supposed to.
But I think a lot of the new laws that they got on the book now, they're appealable because they're really absurd. So again, it's just really speed bumps. You know, we like Michael Jackson speed demon on the motorcycle and stuff, and you just hit a giant speed bump. You're gonna stay done. All right, so you just better hold on tight and be a good rider. But we're gonna get it done because they, in answer to your question as well, now they're creating a red flag database, which is implemented in the new Senate law now. So they're really going hardcore draconian on us, you know. So there's going to be a whole lot of fights, and we got things. Brother, you had something you want to ask? I'll use next system.
Yes, I have two questions. The first question is resident, like where you live, right? It's dependent if I live in an apartment or a private home. Will that affect?
You good? What else?
The next question was because I heard you say active duty, retired police, military police. What about regular military outside of like military
They were not included in it. The Law Enforcement Safety Act lists a whole bunch of different qualifications and you have to be a police officer, peace officer, there's different types of peace officers, but they didn't include military in general. Over time, it may expand. Um, they amended it once, but right now, no. But again, over time, you're probably going to get to the point where if states continue to make it difficult, if the Supreme Court remains the same general makeup, you might get them to say, if you keep discriminating against people, we're going to make it so you cannot discriminate against people, and then you end up with the 30-something states that are shall issue, and there's a bunch that are constitutional carry. You don't even have to ask the state.
Right.
You just turn 18 to get your rifle, 21 to get your pistol. I think it's potentially legal if you go to the military, but there are many states where this is what's going on, and there's no problems or blood in the streets in these 36 places. I mean, it's the South, it's the middle of the country. The states that are putting up the hardest fights are California, Illinois, New York, Massachusetts, I think Maryland, New Jersey, and that happens to be some of the states with the largest cities that also have large minorities living in those places. And those are the places that they seem to have a concern about people having guns.
Sorry, I just had a question. I wanted to know, like, what the mental health diagnosis would prevent you from getting guns removed or license. Like, say, for example, if you have PTSD or OCD, would that prevent you from getting them?
Yes. On the application, yes.
Not the specific diagnosis, but it does ask you have been treated and diagnosed by a professional.
Yes,
You've been
you
an
have to give
inpatient.
everything right.
Right.
Well, I mean, you can probably look in to see whether some of them are going to ask questions whether you're suffering or you've been diagnosed. Certainly, if you've been cured or whatever, then your answer may be different. The federal ban is going to be whether you've been declared mentally incompetent or whether you've been sort of held for about 3 days. But anytime you go to a mental facility or to a hospital, there are people who thought they voluntarily went in, and then they discovered afterwards that they were declared, and now they're banned, and now you then have to fight to go get it back. And in New York, the process is arduous. You need to get your entire mental health history, your entire medical record for the last, I think, 10, 15 years. You need to find another psychiatrist to put on paper that you are good and you're not a danger to yourself or others. Then you file this application with the state of New York, and they have to give you a certificate that says you're no longer, we no longer think that that this should hold you back anymore. All of those people have to decide that they want to be the ones to sort of take on the risk and the liability, and there's a lot.
And that's all before you get a judge.
And then at the end of the day, someone could deny it. Now, you would no longer be prohibited. Then you're going to commence the lawsuit. However, this lawsuit is I know I had bipolar, schizophrenia, something like that, and now I'm good. Eventually, the public as a whole may turn against that. But again, if you're not a perfect person, you're not a perfect person.
Already spent a couple of $100 in taking classes, because you have to take your basic firearms training class in order to get your certificate, in order to even apply. So you already spent, let's say, upwards of anywhere $300 to $400 that you already put out just to apply. Then the application fee, only to be told no, this is
Right, yes.
That was like a question when it comes to like mental health and being
year and month when there was a notification put in, and then you can sort of try to figure out where it is, and then you contact the state, and they tell you, and you may not be prohibited. There were plenty of people who thought they were, there are people who thought they were prohibited, who hired us, and they said they want you to fix it. We then go through the process, contact the state. It's preference for this person whatsoever. At which point we said, great, easiest thing we've ever done. We called him and said, have you ever tried to buy a gun? No. And then it did. All right, now we can help you go apply for your permit. So like, you don't have to assume that you're no good.
Yes, President. Yeah, I have a question. Is there a difference between getting a gun under a business opposed to getting it under your name?
Well, your name is going to be on your license. They can say that it's a sort of a business carry license, something like a business on it, but it's through your name. Through the state of New York, they're registered to you. The only real exception to that would be like a gun custodian responsible for them. But the license says you are allowed to carry this specific gun with this specific serial number. So it's always proven.
Father Shaki, would it be simpler just to become a bounty hunter?
I'm not, but you gotta have a gun permit first. You can't do that. I do that. You gotta have a gun permit first. So no.
Is age a factor in doing this?
No, sir.
Because I've been up there.
I'm up there. He up there too. Rob and
No problems, man, we good. Who else?
Yes, sir.
So, I may have mentioned that to you the other day. The New York law is now changed to where anybody can carry a.
No, sir.
Okay.
You cannot be denied for a lack of proper cause, and self-defense was sufficient enough justification for a carry license. And to get there, they reiterated that the history, text, and tradition of the Second Amendment allows for carrying of a firearm outside the home, and that will have rippling effects.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, met your brother and talked that day.
How you doing, King?
Even though I'm a felon, I'm still trying to work on getting my stuff sealed, and it need a certificate of disability, right?
You need a certificate of release to restore.
Right, so.
Rights were lost, and if you went to state prison, then you need a certificate of good conduct. If you went to jail or probation, or as long as you go to state prison, then it would be a certificate of release. And generally, I think you probably want to apply for a certificate of release before you apply to seal it, because if you seal it, theoretically, you're then going to have to unseal it so they can issue your certificate of release.
So if I, because it's
It's
not
not the other way.
complicated with all the paperwork that I have, I got it literally right here with me.
I was gonna say,
this.
it's not
So,
right
yeah,
there.
right here. So, now I got one case sealed, because it was
That's smart.
Hungarian and German, right? So now I'm just trying to see the certificate of disability, I have to hire a legal aid.
Yes.
That's how that.
What you're gonna do is talk to Rob at the end of the session, and you're gonna exchange numbers, and then you're gonna direct it directly to the expert, and he'll be, he's in the best position to help you, but you can't help. So one thing he did say earlier in the conversation, and he just said it again now, he said, sealing it won't allow you to get a gun permit. So he just said he would prefer or suggest you get your letter, a certificate of relief from disability first, prior to sealing, okay? So at the end, make yourself available to our brother, and if you need to sit down with him, I'm sure he'll be more than happy to consult, all right?
I think so.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
So, okay, if they're denied,
Yes.
is there a cap to how many times a person can reapply? And how much time is needed for this to reapply?
They can tell you that they don't want you to apply. A lot of places some places in upstate and the Long Island, they say when you got denied, they said you can't reapply for every 5 years, but it doesn't mean anything. They're performing a governmental function to process with everything, you have to go to court, and expenses, and you have to go get a judge to order them to do their job. You'll be successful, they can't refuse to accept it, but most people don't have, I mean, you're gonna spend thousands of dollars compelling them to do it. Now, ultimately, you may be able to try to say, I want to get my cost back, you may not get it. But they probably now will process it, so this can take a long time.
Yeah. Anybody else? Okay, you heard the new.
The folks that argue this and still carry under the current law, they commit transport risks on a whole
Right this second, yes. And after they change it, you're gonna have a problem.
Can you repeat that question?
The question was, for people that have concealed carry right now, are they permitted to carry on public transit? Or the law department?
Yeah, seems to be no.
Soon to be known, right?
Yeah, just on the lines of the mental health thing, Robert, or one of the other CPS can help. That being stated before, as you mentioned about, correct me if I'm wrong, Robert. In terms of the investigative process, I'm sure each jurisdiction has that judge or that clerk or whoever that's looking at the paperwork, they have their own little criteria, particularly if they woke up on the wrong side of the bed, So you're talking about the mental issue, mental health issue, PTSD, or whatever the category is. If you, this is the example I give you. If you are in a situation you get hurt, you go to the emergency room, and you know how they got the chart, smiley faces, on the pen, how much pain you're in, right? And you say something like, oh, I'm like really hurt, hurt real bad, I feel like dying, and that goes in your record, your medical record, right? Just by you just saying that, it's like you say that every morning. It's like, oh, I feel like, man, I feel like dying, whatever, like that. Just nonchalantly in that ED nurse or whomever puts that in your medical record, and that comes up in the investigative process, whatever jurisdiction you're in, will that be a fact?
I think it depends. I mean, if ultimately they diagnose you with something, it could come up. I mean, they're generally not going through all your records, but with anything, just similar to be careful about what we say on the internet.
Now, what about the medicinal certificates that people are getting now because of their back injuries, right? So if you get that card, just because you want to smoke some weed, you're not getting it.
Everybody woke up. There was sleeping back. You got the card, got bad back.
He said, if you have a medicinal card and you smoke weed, you can't get it.
It's federally still, it's illegal, you can't do it. You got a
You can't get a license?
No, because you have the metal map, no, they won't give it to you.
Yes, this,
Marijuana card.
I believe because
Excuse me, thank you.
the Robert Primo III, the person from Highland Park, was able to buy firearms, but one of the things that he had on his record was he threatened suicide at some point. And he was sued.
This story is about New York City.
But
So
that's
the
what I'm
jurisdiction.
saying. So well, it's kind of about poverty, because if you are liquid enough to go to different places, then a lot of restrictive laws aren't as germane to you. There's a lot of things that are not germane to me because I have enough money to go somewhere else and do what I want to do. And that's what that's basically
brother.
If you had a card written for you, a medicinal marijuana card by a doctor,
Right.
and you get them end the prescription, can you get one now, or does it follow you along?
It follows you, brother.
Yeah.
So, wait.
The answer is, you're saying that you no longer, like federally, you no longer have that.
Not me, I'm speaking in hypothetical. No, because I don't have a specific case for you. I'm just saying, if a doctor writes me the card, so I've got the New York State medical marijuana card, and I realize I wanna go for the, permit, right? Can I, I can, like any other prescription, I can have the doctor not write the prescription anymore, but it's
The
still
question
existing.
is whether you're a unlawful user of drugs or narcotics, and then the question is yes or no, and then they're gonna check it against the database first based on your name, then based on your fingerprints. And at the end of the day, there's an appeal process, and it goes through NICS, and if you are, they're only gonna know, some of how they get to whether you're an unlawful user or addicted is gonna be based on some statements made on the record, or whatever that means, or whether there's multiple arrests for drugs or convictions within the past couple of years. If you don't fit into any of those real categories, there's only so many databases that they can look, and if you turned in your marijuana card, or whatever the process is, it may vary by state, theoretically it may be good for life, but I don't know.
I do want to share something with you. I had a young lady take my class, and in Connecticut, so she came, she took the class. And she took the class, she did her application. For some reason, she wasn't satisfied with how long it would take. So she calls over to the precinct, and they said to her, "You've been denied because you have a marijuana card." Okay, hold on. So she calls me, and she calls me all kind of ugly names. I'm just a firearm instructor, honey. But the point being, then I get a wonderful basket of fruit and stuff at my door. Because the database and the system hasn't caught up yet, she got her gun permit, and she still has a marijuana card. And all the food and stuff was still apologizing. So, because the system is not up, I want to say to you, because that's just one story, maybe she got through it. How did that happen? Don't think it's going to happen to you here in New York. No, I'm just saying, New York is a different animal. So if you have a marijuana card, you might want to talk to Rob or somebody and see if we can trade it in, and you can just still talk to the people like you used to before the card came. I'm going to hit the hall again, and we're going to repeat this either in September, October. We're not going to stop. We're going to continue bringing the program to the community. We're going to continue to upgrade the community. And the next plan, I would like to talk to the administrators at the table on call you in private, because what I would like to do is talk to you all. We want to try now in November, September, November, I want to start putting sponsorship letters together. And then we would like to get sponsors, in different manufacturers, firearm manufacturers, and get them involved. This thing is going to be big. This is not just a one-time thing where we want to have the room packed. We want to put a program together for the youth in the community. They should be going to summer camps. We should be on the forefront of putting together a program with the 4-H Club or the National Sports and Shooting Foundation, whatever, and that we could put something together where we could get the kids. One more thing with my brother here, he and I talk, we're going to talk in detail. Once y'all start shooting again, we're going to put together a caravan. We're going to go down and see this man, and we're going to go down to his work, where he's competition shooter, tactical training, carbine training, and we're going to go down, like he said, steel sharpens steel. Every master has another master that he trains under. So this is about networking. Our brother came 3 hours away to be a part of this New York City thing, and we're going to reciprocate by bringing people down to sit with him, because the brother is full of knowledge. I mean, he's here because we've had conversations, and I know I'm growing to know who he is. I'm growing to know my brother in this relationship, but insofar as that skill set and the things that we are going to need to have in place to save our lives and our babies. Okay? We're talking about how can you clear a room if you hear a bump in the night. Your sisters, you're sitting around in your drawers and with a glass of wine, and 3 people come running in your house. You gotta get past the old shit moment first before you react. Are you ready? See, it's more than a notion. It's more than just sitting here talking about like a government. The man said earlier, you have to train. This has to become a lifestyle. This has to be you on the free throw line. You know, and whatever discipline in it, you're a rapper, a dancer, play djembe, whatever. It's the same mathematics that needs to be employed here, okay? This is no joke. Don't you go out there and be buying them 2, 3, 4 guns and don't never use them. I have friends. Go ahead, bro.
I'm gonna start right there.
That's it.
So what I see black people do is that we're buying a shit ton of guns. But then we're not buying the quality guns, right? We're buying Tauruses. I know I hurt people's feelings. We're buying Sky, SCCY, right? We're buying High Points. These are not guns that are held by any military of any country ever. You're not going to see them in the competition world because if I go shoot in Puerto Rico in the Caribbean Open, I'm going to spend $1,000. I'm going to shoot 350 rounds, 400 rounds. I cannot have a failure to fire, right? You know, the difference between 1st and 10th place might be 1 jam. So they have to be. I'm going to give you some names. These are the ones I want you to stick with as far as the manufacturer. I'm going to give you the specific guns, but the manufacturers. When you talk about, if you're looking for the best quality, inexpensive, right? They're new to the game, but it's Canon, right? As far as when you want to go with quality guns, HK, right? HK is a quality gun. Walther, right? Walther. Smith & Wesson, Glock, right? FN, right? CZ, right? FN. So like the FN 509 or 507, right? No, I'm not gonna go with the, I'm not, you talking about 320, right? When you talk about, like, my competition guns is 6320 Legion. My carry guns is 6320 carry. I switch out the trigger control mechanism, I can switch that out, and what I'm competing with is the same trigger that I'm using for my everyday carry. So I'm just as deadly for my EDC, EDC is everyday carry, as my competition gun, right? So please, when you're talking about, when you're buying these guns, don't get caught in, ladies, do not buy the 380. Or husband, stop fucking telling your wife that I'm gonna go get her a gun, I'm gonna go get her a 380. Don't do it. There's no lethality difference between a 9mm and 40. 38 is a cut down 9mm, right? So it travels, you know, maybe around 800 feet per second. 9mm, with the advent of hollow points, is just as deadly as you would with a 45, and not 45 as a 40. 45 is a little bit more, but then you're losing magazine capacity, which is important. When you're talking about home defense, you want 22 rounds. My carry, 22 rounds, my C320 carry, right?
For a female hand.
No, there's no female. Cut that. Cut it. HK, German guns. I love German guns. My wife and daughter love German guns as well. They're ergonomic, right? So when your gun, no one can tell you what gun is good for you. You have to go try the gun. I might shoot a gun that might be different than what you would like to shoot. Guns are like shoes. I can't tell you go buy this. That's why I gave you manufacturers. You're to go try these guns. With HK, you can change out the grip panels. You can change out all those things to make sure it fits in your hand right. Learn how to hold a gun first before you go chest out guns. If you can't hold a gun right, you don't know what it's going to feel like. Right? You're not doing it in the right order. Get someone to teach you how to hold a gun properly. Try these guns out. Stay away from Taurus, Sky, High Point, Ruger. Ruger, if you're going to do rifle, fine. Pistols, no. Right? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Stay with quality guns that these military has chosen, said, yo, I'm going to protect my life with that. Right? That's the ones you want. The ones that special forces have a choice. The Marines have a choice, and they say, yo, you know what? I'm going to run this. Those are the guns I need you guys to stick with. Don't get caught up buying the guns that, you know, your husband told you that they're going to get you because you got small hands. right? Don't do that, right? They don't love you. 380 is gonna get you killed. Right. 22 is gonna get you killed. Right. 9 mil. The reason why 9 mil, you can fit 22 rounds of if you get a full-size pistol. 22 rounds. 15, 22. When you start going with those 380s, you now have a subcompact gun. The recoil, everybody thinks that the recoil, you talk about recoil management, of the smaller gun is more recoil. It's not less. So you done got a small gun. It's just as the recoil mitigation is going to be just as hard for 380 than it is with the 9. So now you have a less lethal round. And if you go to 45, cool, now you're big boy, right? You're big boy style. But now you got fucking 8 rounds in your gun, right? It's home defense. Right? You need as many rounds as possible. I'm for AR-15 for home defense. I'm not shotgunning. I don't want 6 rounds. I'm blowing holes all the way out the door. They can run, but I'm tagging. Are you listening? No, don't get me wrong. Take that back. If they're running, you're not tagging. You can't tag. I'm sorry. But if there's more than one of the motherfuckers that ain't coming to my house, my daughter has one. My daughter, my son, in there in the room, AR-15. Because if they come in the house, I told my daughter, listen, they come upstairs, and I'm in my room. My wife, forget what we doing. You unload out that door, and I know to get down because yo, who's coming in my room? My daughter's got it.
Are you hearing this? This is the line of how the game is to be played.
And go ahead.
We are bringing quality conversations. We bring value to the firearm shooting market. This is no superficial conversation that's taking place here. We don't have lightweight individuals here bringing you information. And we're going to try to continue to expand and expound on this genius sitting in front of you. It is in our best interest that we sit and listen to a man like this, that we have a brother on our team like this, that we have a sister here on our team like this, and we have this beautiful sister down here. It is important that this is the kind of information that we are giving to each other. This is love. This is not no barbershop talk. You're not getting secondhand information from somebody that got his ass out of jail. Well, sometimes they know some stuff, but that's not what we're talking about. You know what I'm saying? We want to bring an intelligent conversation to the fore. We want to put together a conversation that is going to, put us on a whole nother level. That's going to take us out of what we've been talking about. Do you hear what this man is saying about his family? Are you hearing that his daughter, I got this, dad? Get past, don't gotta get past. This is no joke. And you need to understand this. You really need to, do you know he asked how long the police come? Do you know they'll disembowel your ass? Do the children and the cat and the dog and take your koi fish out the fish tank before the police get there? Are you understanding the time in which we find ourselves, people? Okay? So we need to listen to what this man is saying and the passion that this brother is conveying. I live it too. And you must have this mindset if you're going to enter into this game. You better make peace with whomever you call God, because what you plan on doing to someone else, they can do it to you. Notice for a fact that you better have your gun game tight. Because some of them brothers, like I said, the best example I can give, you know the sisters get your toenails did, your fingers, girl, and then you got your little wine, and you got your personal room. Got your little thong on, and you're walking around talking about girl, and you got your TikTok. 3 people come knock on your door and kick in your shit. You gotta get past the oh shit moment first. And don't forget you walking around in your drawers. You better have your game tight. I'm trying to make light of it, but you better understand the seriousness of it. They don't come one at a time anymore. They're not rolling in your crib with one person. You better be looking for 2 to 3 or 4. Can you roll? This is clean, I got that. This mother, I got that. Baba got the rep, I'm cleaning up the rib. This is how we have to live. You have to take on this mentality. There are no backseas in this game. You're playing around at home, thinking you know how to clean your gun, you shoot your cat in his ass, or you shoot the neighbor, you're going to jail. And you're going to be snotting and boogering, and boogers and shit are going to be running. Oh, no, Lord, please forgive me. It's no going back. I'm making light of it, but what I'm trying to tell you, you better train. You better take what we're offering to the community serious. This is a great undertaking to do this, man. To put this together, to get these beautiful people to come out when they got time, they have schedule. My brother came with his family 3. This is no joke. And I want you to understand Fitness, Fuel, and Fire is about this life. We're talking about the education of our people, first and foremost. We want you to be abreast of the laws, first and foremost, because we don't want y'all running out here, walking, because, the Chanel bracelets, they give those away. Right. You get those, okay? So we want the best people in the best position to give us the best advice on which direction we should take as a ummah, as a giant community, and how we are going to be protected, okay? Sisters, you need to get with us. If you're already taking the class, you already need to come back. And if you haven't been with us, you need to come see me. We're coming down, and we're going down to hang out with this brother. So we're going to be bringing y'all down, and we're going to want to expose you to what it really is. We're not talking about standing in front of no damn paper, shooting at some paper, bam, there. That is so corny. Because papers don't shoot back, and they don't offer a real threat to you. So we need to put ourselves in a situation where you got to have a scenario where it's coming back at you.
No, we don't want it back at.
Well, you know what I'm talking about, yeah. We don't want it, we want to end it before it comes, but however, they might get 1 or 2 at you before, you just, the martial art thing is this. What you plan on doing to somebody else, they are planning on doing to you. That's how I think. And if I plan on putting some holes in your ass, then I should be expecting that you still come back, okay? So, yes, move. You can do it now and come and train and have fun with us. And we're going to talk about that. You can come, you can train. We got you. Don't worry about nothing.
And you can compete right now.
You can compete right now, yes.
I was just going to ask, before this, competition, how do we get into the competition? Oh, 100%. My Quincy Asante, I have teams in Texas, in Houston, Black Squad, wherever you are. I can Zoom. I do Zoom classes for free for those that want to compete and are serious, right? So if you're serious about serious, Quincy Asante, hit me up. I'm on Facebook. Facebook, Instagram, you don't find me on that. But one thing I wanted to, go ahead.
I just want to, I don't know who, what you were talking about, but Rob talked about, you can't even touch a handgun in New York unless you have a permit. That tied into what the brother said in the beginning about how this gets real expensive real fast. It ain't just the guns, it ain't just the ammo and all like that, it's the travel, hotels, this, that, and the other. So you need to start going to the gun shows outside of New York State, so you can put your hand on the gun and feel and like that. The other piece was just most recently, now.
It'll come back to you. You haven't seen the movie.
I want one second, really 1 second. While I was going over the ammo, one of the most important things that I wanted to go over also is I'm going to forget myself is the gear, right? So when you're talking, I also see in all these communities, our gear is just fucked up. It's just ridiculous. Even the militia groups, it's horrible. And I'm there to try to fix that, right? So I want to let you know, like, if you're gonna be open carrying, guys, and I'm not saying that you guys should. If you're police, if you're like security guard, there are different levels of security when it comes to these holsters. Level 1, retention is just friction. Level 2 would be one mechanism to hit the button and release. Level 3 would be you hit the button, move the shroud and hit the button, and then you can pull it, right? So if you're doing some type of open carry, doing something, maybe you're out of state doing something, you want a level 3. Why? Because you don't want someone to just grab up and grip your gun and take it from you, because now you've given them a gun. I see it all the time. Our gear is just, and not, so level 3 retention, holsters, a good one is Safari Land. Stop playing. It's expensive, yes, but if you're buying a $600 gun, why not buy a quality holster with it? If you're concealed carrying, one of the best ways to conceal carry, I would say, is appendix carry. That's right in front. Once you're used to concealed carrying, you're not going to be worried about shooting your pee up, I promise. But again, if you're still concerned about shooting your pee up, you're not practicing enough. You haven't hit the moment, you haven't practiced enough. But as far as retention, if somebody's trying to grip it, you can at least put 2 hands on it. As far as your draw, sub-second draw, right? Again, dry fire. You'll learn how to do sub-second draws, right? So it's something that you're going to have to practice with. Concealed carry, one of the great holsters, I would say tier 1 concealment. It's number 1. Like tier 1 concealment is great quality holsters. They also compete. Those guys can shoot, right? So tier 1 concealment's a great one. Like if you're looking for concealed carry holsters, again, get quality gear, not all Kydex, stop with the leather holsters, sorry.
No, what about the gun belt, the Walmart belt?
Sorry, belts.
Belts,
The
man.
reason why the belts are important, I'm gonna give you a name, Core, K-O-R-E. With Core, they put like this metal inner lining. The reason why you want that inner lining in the belts is when you're doing your draws, it's about consistency. How fast, you're not looking down the draw, right? It's a quick draw. Even when you're reloading, it's moving your shirt, and you need everything to be in the exact same spot every time. When you have a belt with that inner lining like that, it allows everything to sit and it doesn't flop around. I'm tired of seeing like guns flopping around. Core has that inner core, why the name is that way. It's a quality belt. Get a gun belt if that's what you're gonna get. Stop with these floppy guns or wearing it where you have like not even a belt. And don't do, so I hear a lot of people want to do off the body carry. The problem with off the body carry is that, you're carrying it, now they grip your purse. Not only did they got your money, but they got your gun. Now you're fighting over the gun, right? You can't even let it go and then go grab your gun if there was something else. You don't have it on you, right? You know what I'm saying? So practice, again, 95% of competitive shooting is done at home. It's done through dry fire. It's not done at the range. The only thing you do at the range is recoil mitigation and trigger control. That's it. Everything else is done at home. My wife's competing next week, Sunday, right? So she hasn't done it in about a year and some change. She's a fucking monster, right? And then she kind of chilled because, she's got busy. But now she's back. And it's like she never left. Because all week we're doing table starts, we're drawing, we're reloading, right? And it clicked, right? It just clicked just like that. And you can get it back, but it is a perishable skill. I went 2 months without shooting, right? 2 months. And it was just like going back, I was like, wow. Just 2 months, it's a perishable skill, so if you're not keeping up with it, you're gonna struggle. And if you're concealed with competition, I'll say this again, two competitions that two groups, USPSA, IDPA. If you're older, you don't move around much, moving isn't something that you're doing, look for an IDPA match. You find these matches on Practice Score, practicescore.com. You can register, you can go on practicescore.com, look in your little area, on there, you just type in the area that you're in, and you'll see the matches that are on there. IDPA. My suggestion, what I'll do is I'll travel. I do groups on Zoom. They say that they have one in some city. I'll do a couple Zooms with them, get them all excited. I might fly out there and go join them, right? And if they got a group, and just get them that first experience back and shoot the match. But they're far more, through dry fire, you're far more comfortable, you're far more, you get to understand the rules, right? Black person teaching you what those rules are, so when you go in there, you feel comfortable. Because that's the important part. You want to know what load and make ready is, unload and show clear. All the jargon that you don't know, that you're not comfortable with, that you don't know, right?
And what my brother is saying here, you don't hear none of this stuff that he's talking in the movies. You get the stereotypical type movies. You understand? This is real business. Know that this isn't a game. What this brother is telling you, man, all of this is necessary. So whatever idea that you have about the firearm game, I'm hoping that this panel discussion dispels some of the misnomers that you may have had and some of the misunderstandings that you may have had about gun ownership in New York City, all right? Go ahead.
You always hear that the gun accidentally went off. You said you fired about 30,000 rounds. It doesn't accidentally go off. You can make the gun safe. You either, if your finger's not on the trigger, it's not going to go off. If there's nothing, if it's unloaded, taking the magazine out, wrap it back and make sure there's nothing inside, it's not going to go off. So if you've never fired a gun, it certainly is something that it could be intimidating, but you can put it yourself in a situation where you're not going to get hurt. No one can get hurt unless it's loaded, you pointed it at somebody, and you pulled the trigger. If you've avoided all of those things, what's at your target or behind your target, if you've avoided doing all that, nobody is going to get hurt. And over time, people get more interested in this. It took time. I mean, there's the civilian marksmanship program started after the Civil War, which was a government program that was designed to make the North better at shooting. And they found during the Civil War, the South knew how to shoot. So I mean, that was, and it's a program that's still around today, training people.
People that know still can't shoot.
And it's still training people all over the place, and they train young people as well. The Appleton Center, the Junior Appleton again. There's other things out there, and at any of these events, everyone else there is interested in what you're doing. So you will find commonalities in things you like doing as opposed to some other reason. And it's helpful, and you literally see people from all different avenues, from all over the place, who recognize that they like shooting and they recognize I have to just do this because I have to protect myself, or I have to protect my family, or this, because no one else is coming to help.
I like what he said about the camaraderie, but for the children, when the children get involved with competition shooting, they meet kids from all over the world, and when they get into the international shooting, then they become international ambassadors. And we want to send ambassadors out into the community that can come back and do a positive spin on firearm ownership and operation. Do you understand? So we're talking about creating an international community for our kids. They can travel. The brother's telling me the competitions are all over the world. What we need to do is do an inner city black, like my brother put together, an inner city Latino and black airsoft competition shooting team. We need to put together a youth competition shooting team where we're doing 3 guns. It's all here and it's all above board, and we're going to do it together. I need my brown community members to get with me because you are vital. You are vital to what this movement is. And I want to just bring, again, I'm about bridging. I got you, King. I'm about bridging. And I'm old school. I'm going to tell you how old I am, but I'm great if I had hair. you know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying, when I was littler, the community was tight. The Latino and black community was beautiful. I'm talking about, I used to spend the night at my friend's house. I was eating Spanish food to have my mom buying stuff. Like, we need to get those bananas. I forgot the plantain. We didn't eat that. You know, so some of the Spanish stuff I got mommy to do. And then they came to the house and they enjoyed some of the stuff that we ate as a community. And it was love. And then all of a sudden something happened when we had like with Felipe, the young lords in the Black Panther Party, when we would feed the community together and we had love. What happened to that? And I'm not going to ask because then we digress, but we have a pregnant moment now to be the facilitators of this new change. We should open up another dialogue. I want Latinos sitting behind this desk the next meeting. I want us to be able to have a diverse conversation, and we're going to bring diversity to the gun conversation. We need that. We need that. This is not a Brown thing. It's a communal thing. And I'm gonna tell you one thing, when shit hit the fan, we'll be eating beans and singing Kumbaya together against the common enemy. So we need to come together now. Now, Fitness Fueling Fire is open. I'm saying now, the next conference we have, I'm gonna have my team with me. But I wanna bring and engage the Latino community. I'm gonna make it my business and I'm gonna need your help. I want you to find me a Latino firearm instructor. A sister that's Spanish that's into the gun game. This is for all of us. We need to put this thing and have an adult conversation as one community. Again, for Ashanti, don't come with that negativity, man. There's no room right now in our reality for division. Because there's a Latin genocide going on that you don't hear about. They stabbing and shooting each other wholesale too. They don't talk about the brown situation because they make more money off the brown people killing each other. Okay? But we're gonna bring a stop to this. Fitness Fueling Fire brings value to the firearm market. My man is talking about competition shooting for the old people. Y'all gonna need to get your gun permits. Y'all need to come and see me. Okay? This is important. This is important. I want whoever is to hear my voice. I want Felipe Feliciano involved with this. I need some of the old Latin brothers and mothers. I want them involved with this project and this movement because we're not going to succeed on our own. We need to come together. What you did in Mississippi would have been really, really fly. We would have had about 2,000 Latinos with us too. Rolling in body armor, in black or brown tams, and we rolling. And this is what I want. This is necessary. The Latino children should learn how to shoot firearms the same. Our Latino babies, everything we're talking about for the brown children, I want for the brown babies too.
As long as they are one out here.
That's what I'm talking about because
as long as their mentality is the same.
We're going to leave that piece out. We understand who we understand who we're bringing it to the table. We understand that piece. We understand that piece. We got that and we're clear on that. But we do have soldiers, man. And they have not been recognized. And we need to open the door again for a communal dopeness. And that's all I'm saying. I just know that the power is in the love. I know the power is in the numbers. I know the power is in the unity. Now you just imagine if we bring the Latino community, that's another 200-300 people that can come and sit and partake in this feeding, our breaking bread together. Do you understand what's happening here right now? Or do y'all just think that y'all just came to sit here and watch people pontificate on guns? This is a movement, man. We're bringing this vibration back together. We're opening eyes again. We're going to try to do something about the disparities in the arrest of our children with these guns. Let's put ourselves in a position that you talk to the kids before they go out here and get one thing on their record that destroys them forever. Come on, man. We can do the dopeness right now.
One second. Well, again, I love teaching, right? So one of the things that I know we talk about those thousands of rounds per year, but it's not because I'm just going and buying 30,000 rounds, right? So very low. So one of the things I want you to introduce you guys to, which I didn't know, right? 5 years ago, is reloading. Reloading is a way that you can save those shells, right? The casing. So there's parts of it. So you have the casing, the primer, the powder, right? And then the projectile. So you can purchase the projectiles, like from Blue Bullets or Brass Monkey, 3,500 rounds costing about $200, right? The primer. Prior to COVID, it was $30 for 1,000 primers. So what I'm all said, you're reloading for 11 cents a round, when it was at 9 millimeters. So where people were paying $1 a round, I was still reloading at 11 cents a round, right? So reloading Dillon 750. You can go with the old school Dillon 550, but look, YouTube the Dillon product, right? There's a couple other manufacturers, but Dillon's the one I'm comfortable with. Dillon 750, great machine. You can produce 1,000 rounds in an hour and a half, somewhere around there. It's a progressive loader. Like just before I left, I just made 500 rounds for tomorrow's match that we're going to shoot, right? So it's something that It's something that you guys want to get into. There's not enough of us in it. But if you ever need any help, understanding how to do it, I'll be more than happy to tell you, what powders to buy. And it's an easy thing. It's not hard. It's not. It's simply not hard. You can do it. It's just something you don't know. You can quickly YouTube it and figure out how to do how to do it, or get the idea of what to do. But don't go buy one of those. Don't go cheap. This isn't one of those. And the Dillons cost around. You pay $750 for a 750. So you're probably, if you want everything to be loaded where you're just pulling and it does the auto load and everything, you're probably going to be around $1,500. But you'll make that money back in 3-4 months if you're really shooting properly, right? If you're really putting rounds down range, you're gonna make that money back. You can get the most basic one, probably in it for around like $750 to $1,000. You can manually load the bolt. So that was one that I wanted to talk about. As far as the different ranges, I know you guys are shooting in static ranges that don't allow you to be as dynamic as you need. You're trying to engage multiple targets, from 180 degrees. And you want to practice reloads, your draws, your times, things like that. How to kind of find those, how I did, was I went to practice for those same ranges that do USPSA matches. They often have a club. You can just become a member of that club. And then you can go and have those same ranges that they set up for matches for practice. So, that's an idea of like try to finding those type of ranges. I don't know, New York, you might have to travel a little bit. Jersey, well, we have matches here. Yeah, in New York, so I know they have them here, but I don't. Oh. I'll just say, I can come here and shoot matches. Right. Got it. I don't know. We shoot USPSA matches out. Right, they tell them over. And I think that was so reloading, saving money, open. And just the last thing that I was going to talk about, how to say when you're talking about like pistols, right, and rifles, wherever you are, you're offering wherever you are a bubble of protection, right? So if you're in a Walmart and you're carrying, you're offering your people a bubble of protection for wherever you are. So it's not just about you, it's about your community. So just think about if you had, everywhere you went, you had certain people that carried, the more of us that carried. You're offering a bubble of protection everywhere you go, right? And then, of course, if you train, it's a really good protection for those that might not. Not all of us are going to be gun people. I get that. We need people in medical, we need people, but for those that have the aspirations to learn this craft, to master it, you offer a benefit of protection. If you go back to Tulsa, right, one of the things that throughout history, we lost some shit. But one of the things, the reason why is because we never were able to protect it. This time, we should do it differently. We should build the black community, but we also have to have the means to protect the black community. Not just marching and saying these things, but actually understanding and doing it and having those abilities to protect it. The rifle, when you're talking about you have the ability to get a rifle, the difference between the pistol and the rifle, the pistol protects you. The rifle protects the community. In my neighborhood, you can hold a block down. This is one guy, a Jamaican dude that decided he wanted to, do some craziness. And you will never see cops run into a house. I'm not saying this is for cops. I'm saying for anybody that wants to do you ill will. You see that there's great pause when it comes to that 223 round. They don't just run up in your house when they know you have a rifle. They run up in there all day for a pistol. And I'm not talking about police. I'm talking about now these militia groups that have body armor. They have all these things that, they might be ex-cops. But you offer the community a greater level of protection by having that rifle. And understand, just FYI, when you have, that caliber round, and you have your concealed carry permit, You can get your rifle if it's considered a rifle if the barrel is greater than 16 inches. But it's classified as a pistol if it's less, and you have a brace on it. So instead of a stock on the end of it, so the one I carry around in my car, I have it. It's a 10. It has a 12.2 and a 10.5, right? It's a short. I can keep it right next to me on my truck, and I abide by the laws of a concealed carry holder of a pistol because it's classified as a pistol because it's less than 16 inches and it has a brace. By just sticking on a brace, these are white people make some great rules, though. Y'all gotta just know what these laws are, man. They wanted to circumvent the law of you can't carry a rifle around, so they said, okay, you put a brace on it, which acts as a stock, and you can carry it around as a pistol, right? So know the law. What's up?
Okay, who we got? The brother was first.
Yeah, my question is.
Oh, wait. Go ahead, Barbara.
That's okay. I appreciate the call. Kind of piggybacking off of the brother there with the mental health issue. Is there any? I know this brother here. He was talking about how you have to go through a certain level of, I guess, review. So, is there a like, I guess, a financial? Well, first of all, who funds this study? Who funds the determination on whether a person is mentally ill or not?
Like if you're appealing it, you are, and if you've been labeled mentally incapacitated, that's going to happen at the state, and it's going to already done it. So you're going to pay probably $5,000 to $10,000 probably all in.
And then is there a financial, I'm sorry, second part, is there like from the state side, is there like a financial incentive for those people that are doing the diagnosis to kind of land on their side?
Well, with anything, if someone has to decide whether you're too dangerous, then they have to put their name out there to say, oh, I don't think he's that dangerous. And then something happens, they're going to be blamed. So it's always easier to come down on the side of taking the gun away or making it possible or something else as opposed to giving it back. So it's one of those things you try to do everything you can to try to avoid those situations, and that starts from young kids getting involved, and you got to give them all the means possible to be in the best position, funding your defense bar, funding your legal aid society, funding, like there's no reason that some of these people should have 2, 4, 5, 6, 10 times the caseload as the prosecutors. You're on basically in the same situation, and no one, people jump up and down if they saw the disparity in how much funding went towards prosecuting people versus actually defending people.
Shay.
I have an application for NYPD retired. Wait, first question is I want to know, can I do it, just fill out the application?
No,
I don't want to do it online.
You gotta do it online.
Why?
Because you can't, they're not taking paper application.
I have problems with that
We'll
website.
fix it. I will fix it. It's easy. We got you. It's easy. We'll take care of it.
Okay, my second question is which application do I need? I have two here. Which application do I need?
When we finish, you come see me and I'll do everything. Brother in the back right there. And then
Yeah.
what you need.
I got an interest in like becoming an instructor, right? So what does
You
that?
gotta get your gun permit first. You can't do nothing until you get your gun permit. So the first thing you wanna do is come to my gun class and take the gun class so that you can apply for your gun permit. So then all your other aspirations come once you issue your license and your gun permit. But all that other stuff, none of that is gonna happen until you get your gun permit. All right?
You talk about the NRA.
Yeah, or USCA.
Yes?
How many classes do you gotta take to get a permit?
One, you gotta take the class once, but I would recommend you come back often to learn how to shoot in practice. It's an 8-hour class, but don't just be like most of us. You come, oh, I went to the gun class and I took the gun permit, and we never see you again. That's not how it works, but you know, that's what it is. I got that. Yes, Bob, I got you next time.
You were talking about, a shortcut. Were you talking about the master's background shotgun?
Oh, no, I don't mess with them shotguns. I went 30 rounds, so no, I have an AR-15, right? AR-15 chambered in 5.56, right? Chambered in 5.56, but it has a 12.5 inch barrel.
The shockwave was a gun that was legal up until they changed the law. After September 1st, the master shockwave is a felony. It's actually similar to the other firearms
Because they
that
changed the law.
because they changed the law. So, I mean, at the end, they criminalized it. Ultimately, it was a legal product before you ultimately gonna be fighting it. What New York doesn't know about or care about is if it's out of state, theoretically after, I think it's September 1st, the shockwave was legal and did not require a license at all, it was legal in the city, that's all it is.
But one thing with the shockwave, just, we gotta be real with it, right? It's cute, right? But how practical is that gun? How fast can you manage that recoil from a freaking small little shotgun, if you have slugs in it? So yes, it's cute. Like I was thinking about that one time, right? But then, it's just not. Oh, and CCW, download on whether it's Android or Apple, right? You can get CCW, and it has like a picture of American flag. I know I hate it, but it has a picture of American flag and a gun on it, right? And that tells you for every state that you're in, it tells you the laws of that state. Like whether you have if you have to like let an officer know if you're a parent, you gotta know the laws for every state. So you can just click, the permit that you have, or if you don't have a permit, and what those laws are. It's called CCW on Android or Apple, and it's free.
What might, what license you said was legal in New York State, New York?
Brother, yeah, I said, oh yeah, notice the shirt, right? Is little man with you? Yes, yes. He with you? Okay. Y'all let him know that he can put his hand on a gun. How old are you, sir? 13. So he can put his hand on a gun in New York right now, and you can't.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah. Yeah, take it, Robert.
It's like in like an NRA sanctioned, competition, like you can, it's way how it's written. Like, there is a.
Right.
It
ain't nothing else, brother, it's what I said.
It's like 13 to 17-year-olds that are participating in the competition are allowed to touch a pistol, and then once you turn 18, it's
And he can actually, and he can actually go with one of them right now, to a range, Glock, Smith & Wesson, whatever handgun they got. He can shoot. You will. Why you will have to watch. You will, little brother. You will be able to see us. So that's applicable across like several things. Driving like kids can drive in New York at 16 now, right? Something like that. And you get an average, you get a pilot certificate, right? Like that.
No longer going to allow it if police officers will be tested for marijuana. Right. Is this a reboot that may affect their carrying their guns, where they no longer tested for marijuana?
Generally, it could certainly be a reason, but I think it's just they probably are having trouble finding people to go there, and marijuana ultimately they sort of decriminalize it, but federally the federal government is the one that has to say it's a plant, we don't care, and that says they can.
Hi. Oh, I'm sorry. Hi, my name is Dino Blair. And I've been practicing martial arts for over 50 years. In martial arts, there's also, it's very important to study the philosophy, to study the ideas behind war and things like that. Is this a part of the training? Is there a philosophical aspect to training in
Black people need a
Yeah. Yes. Answer.
Yeah, I've been watching my 20 years. I teach at staff now, all of those. That's what I teach at. And I read a message on the said, you have to start by on the
Right.
That's it. The gun is just an extension of your body. Okay. So, I've been using guns like a young man. I used to be in the cadets here, and we used to go down to Cave Street. There used to be a range down there, and we used to shoot. 22 rifles. That's what we used to shoot. So what I'm saying about as far as the weapon, you have a weapon, and like I said, the gun is extension. Like you use a knife, a stick, a fork, whatever. You're the extension. Okay.
Anybody else? Okay,
I
brother.
was talking earlier about the rest record and the good moral character. You was talking earlier about the arrest record and the good moral character. You speaking on that?
What do you want to know?
As far as get denied. They could deny you for that, for your arrest
Have you
record,
been
not
arrested
conviction,
before?
for the record.
Have you been arrested before?
Yes.
Misdemeanors, felonies?
Both, but no convictions.
Well, you're gonna have to get all your dispositions, right?
Okay.
You're gonna, and if, dispositions?
Yeah, you're gonna need your certificates of dispositions, you're gonna need to, they're gonna ask you for the facts and circumstances surrounding your arrest. They're gonna ask you to explain what's going on. What they're not gonna tell you to do is give more than just, I was arrested at 18 for whatever. Like they're limited on the information that they have. You can provide them with the information, don't lie on it, but you can always give people more information about what you've been on since. But they're going to use this as New York City just asked for a whole bunch of things, and there was just different reasons that you gave them to deny you. And now you're at the judge of your moral character is the subjective standard that they probably will continue to use to deny people. But you're not prohibited. So if you're not a prohibited person, they're going to have a tough time keeping you denied. But you initially may be denied, and you may have to appeal. But yeah.
So, all right. Couple more questions. We're gonna wrap this thing up. Chris, come on.
First, I want to say I have trained with Brother Shanti, and I recommend that everyone goes to see him to get your paperwork squared away. The second thing I want to say is that I find it very, very interesting that they would legalize or tell everybody to go and get this marijuana situation squared away when it's not like they just found out that they were going to be having this conversation about firearms. So now we have masses of our people think it's the coolest thing in the world to go out and get this marijuana card, and they've trumped themselves by doing this, and there's no way that they could have known what was coming next.
You gotta stick with what works. If you was dealing with Pookie before, stick with Pookie, man. Don't try to play around and mix them. If you got your man that you've been rolling with for the last 20 years, stick with that.
But you didn't hear that here.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying, man. You got don't. If it isn't broken, don't fix it. Just leave it. Call your man and keep going. Who got another question? Yes, King.
I don't know if you say you had be deportation.
They knew that they would be
Because I had to give all my depositions for them to present to them anyway. And they thought they had it.
If you don't have a felony or a serious offense and you're not prohibited, then they're going to have a tough time tonight. Now they're going to definitely try to make it more difficult for you. They might make you go and explain, and I'm sure it's not going to be pleasant, but you may have to take it to court. But the new standards are such that you're not allowed to have a subjective may issue standard anymore. They can have clearly defined things that you need to do. Basically, you don't be prohibited and take a class. Or get a permit. And now over time, we're going to see sort of what type of class and what it is, or how much could it be. There's been fights throughout history about what type of tests people need to do to exercise rights, or how
think if you don't have a violent felony on the record, you're clean, it would be in your best interest to go ahead and try to apply. Be as transparent as possible, but I look at it like there's nothing ventured, nothing gained. And the one thing that we tend to do as a community is get in our own heads and in our own way. And we make assumptions that we're just assuming that we heard from someone else, and it hinders us from venturing out and falling, and then we come to find out. I had a brother call me this morning, I hope he's here. He was like, you mean to tell me all this time I could apply for my gun permit? Yes! Yes! You, all this time, they was telling me, no. Who would tell, who the they? And what other research did you do to find out to answer the question? I am telling you, man, if your record is clean, everybody has told you here now, we're not going to whip a dead horse no more. If you got a clean record, and if you got a few little glitches, all you need is your disposition. And if you have any more questions, you give us a call, and you have people that can assist you. But I am telling you now, from this conversation on, you sign your name over here, I want to hear from y'all. Y'all need to be proactive about taking the gun class. Let's get these gun permits up.
What's the date and time?
Excuse me, the date and time classes are 7 days a week, brother. Or when you sign, you're going to call, you say what date that you're going to be able to come to the class, and we'll take it from there. All right? But remember, he said he wanted to be a bail enforcement agent, he wanted to be a firearm instructor, and who else knows where you want to be? But it all starts with your gun permit. Okay? It starts with getting your gun permit. Streams of income can be created as a result of having your firearm permit. You get your gun permit, then the streams open up. Brother Barry spoke on about taking the armed guard class, because you have your gun permit now. Okay? Then you take, once you get the gun permit, you take the armed guard class. That puts you in the streams of income for a potential job, 45 to 65 an hour, doing armed work, and then it gives you limited carry. Then my man told you, stack your credentials. And it goes up from there. Understand that use your gun permit as a means to create an income. You sit up here gonna spend all your money buying guns and bullets and shit, and you putting out, but you got nothing coming in. You know what I'm saying? So let us be wise in how we maneuver, okay? All right, let's get that. One more question, and we're gonna wrap this up. You know, we're gonna, they want us out here at 9 o'clock, the security gonna be with Jimmy. Yeah. Oh, that was you. Oh, okay, that's what I'm talking about. There you go. You got that all wrong. Yes. You ready to leave? You're gonna make your ass for that one. You know what I'm saying? That's what's up, man.
Okay.
That's what's good.
I am the young brother because I was under the idea, I'm born and raised in East Harlem, an idea of me being able to get my hands on any gun would either be illegal or I like to go to a shooter range. So I was under the impression that even if I applied, I would get denied.
You got in your own way. I'm saying.
I thought that after
this
law,
I thought that after this law, no, I'm not listening to you no more. Wait, negativity.
No, it's negative. All right, so look, so now I'm a very practical person. So my next step would be going to training, right? Yes. From there, I go and apply for my long gun.
You're going to do it in the class. Yes, you're going to apply for. We're going to apply for your handgun in the class. We're going to do your full New York City gun application. Everybody that's listening, we do the class. When you come take my class, you're going to. A few people we didn't do with you, I don't think. You're going to come. You're going to do the application on your computer in the class itself. You're going to get all the way up, I think, in New York, I think you're going to get all the way up to page 13 because you're going to have to upload documents. But you're going to be able to sign in and out. Okay? That's what you're going to do. And simultaneously, apply for your loan gun. Yeah, man. Yes. You're going to get the loan gun first. Yes, little brother. No, you ain't gonna know nothing until you 21, son. You're gonna shoot an elder. You're gonna write down your devil. We're gonna hang out. We're gonna make it happen. I'm telling you, man. This is a happening. This is a movement. This isn't the end. We will be traveling down to see my man. We're gonna take a busload. I'm putting it on, I'm on small bus. I'm on small bus. Yeah, you know, 40 people with the yellow helmets, the special kids. We're gonna have the special, hey, y'all, but listen, we're gonna start networking, and the whole idea is creating relationships and friendships all over the earth. That is what has been given to us and told will be ours. So right now is the beginning of something magnificent. We're gonna say thank you, and I would like to end this beautiful thing with a small prayer, just wishing everybody to get home safe. I want to say thank you for everybody who came here, and you just fulfilled and made me feel that my purpose in life is really happening. I want to thank Brother Quasi. I love you, man. And I'm ready to be a small one. I want to you stand now. Yes. We talked about a few things with the group homes and stuff, and how we can be proactive in moving with the group homes and stuff. So I'm a humble servant, and, brother, can I ask you to close us out with prayer? Everybody? We're gonna do that. And we're gonna close out with prayer first. Brother, please.
In the name of Allah, the merciful. Surely I turn myself to you, O Lord, trying to be upright to you, who originated the heaven and the earth, and I am not the power of you. Surely my prayers, my sacrifices, my life, my death are all for Allah, Lord of all the world. No associate has he, this is my command, and I am exalted to me. O Allah, there is no God but thou, my Lord, and I am thy servant. I have been greatly unjust to myself and confessed my faults unto thee. So grant me protection, for none can grant protection but thee. And guide me to the best of all, for none can guide me to the best of all but thee. And turn away from me my evil and indecent morals, for none can turn away from me my evil and indecent morals but thee. Say, O Lord, Allah is he upon them all things. He neither gets nor is begotten, and there is none unto like him. And I bear witness that there is no God but God.
Everybody turn to a member, give some hugs, give some love.